In a matter of hours, jurors are expected to begin deliberations in the first ever human trafficking case involving Chavanese Sasha Gay Hall. While she did not testify, the defense did its best to remind jurors that the prosecution had to prove its case against her beyond a reasonable doubt, while the prosecution contends that they did. Jimenita Swain was in court today for the closing arguments of both sides in their final words to jurors.
Director of Public Prosecutions Vanette Graham-Allen outlined to jurors which elements demonstrate that they proved their case against Chavanese Sasha Gay Hall. Graham-Allen explained that the prosecution has to prove that Hall committed the offenses she is facing. The prosecution also had to prove, when considering the offense of trafficking in persons, what act was done, how it was done, and the purpose. Graham-Allen maintained that the accused recruited, transported, transferred, received, and/or facilitated the arrival of both victims into the country. Graham-Allen said this was demonstrated by the witnesses who outlined how they met Hall and how Hall had purchased their tickets to the Bahamas. Their purpose, instead of work as a barmaid or massage therapist, turned into them being forced into prostitution, as outlined by their evidence. The prosecutor also reiterated how the passports of the victims were withheld and how threats were made against them. She said the only way the case was broken was because one of the victims reported it to the police, something Graham-Allen described as a brave act. Graham-Allen also used the opportunity to show jurors there was no collusion, concoction, or fabrication in the prosecution's case. Now, defense attorney Jara Mangra also did his best to convince jurors of his client's innocent in his closing submissions. He told jurors that Hall did not give evidence, noting that it was her legal right. Mangra stressed that his client was not guilty of the charges of trafficking in persons and was not guilty of withholding the travel documents of the two victims involved. He reminded jurors that the accused was presumed innocent until they determined otherwise. The defense attorney told jurors that the prosecution witnesses swore on the Bible, but in his words, they lied with every sinew of their body, particularly the victims and police officers involved in the investigation. Mangra reminded jurors that they only of the prosecution's case, but he said they failed to discharge that burden of proof. Mangra insisted that his client did not recruit, transport, transfer, receive, and/or facilitate the arrival of the two victims to the Bahamas for the purpose of exploiting them for prostitution. He urged jurors to acquit Hall. Now that the defense and prosecution have both summed up their cases, the judge will sum up his case to the jurors before they decide the fate of Sasha Gay Hall. Jimenita Swain, ZNS Network News.